Welcome back, everybody. We're diving deep today into teaching in the home.
Sounds interesting.
It is. And we've got a great guide for our deep dive.
Oh, who's that?
Devin G. Durrant. He gave an address on this topic that really got us thinking.
Okay, I know the name. Remind me.
He was first counselor in the Sunday School General Presidency.
Right.
And he has 6 kids, so he's been in the trenches, so to speak.
Yeah, that's definitely hands-on experience.
And what's cool is that he doesn't just focus on, formal lessons.
Okay, so what's his angle then?
He's all about those everyday moments in family life.
Interesting, those little teaching opportunities that pop up.
Exactly. He starts off talking about family home evening.
A classic.
Right. And he tells this funny story
Oh, I love a good story.
about his dad creating this activity called the test.
The test, huh? Sounds ominous.
It wasn't. It was hilarious. He'd send his kids running around the house,
Doing what?
all these silly tasks,
Yeah.
to teach a gospel principle.
I see, so using fun to make it stick.
Exactly. And it makes you think, how can we make gospel principles?
More engaging.
Yeah. Turn them into these memorable experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it.
Like what?
You could have a scavenger hunt, clues from the scriptures.
Or a family talent show, but the acts have to show kindness, forgiveness.
I love those ideas.
Right. Make it an adventure.
Definitely.
Then Durrant shifts gears and talks about family prayer.
Oh, interesting.
And he shares the story about President N. Eldon Tanner.
A former leader in the church.
Right. And it's about how President Tanner's father
Go on.
would basically confess young Eldon's misdeeds during prayer.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, asking forgiveness on his behalf.
And how did that go over?
Well, President Tanner later said it taught him way more.
Than any punishment could.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about family prayer differently.
Doesn't it? It can be so much more than just a routine.
It's a chance to teach, to express love, seek forgiveness, draw closer as a family.
You nailed it.
But I think a lot of families struggle with it,
In what way?
Moving past just saying the same words every night.
So how do you make it more meaningful?
I don't know, maybe encourage the kids to participate more.
Even if it's just a few words.
Right. Or taking a moment before to share what you're grateful for.
Oh, I like that.
Something the whole family can connect with.
And that leads perfectly into Durrant's next idea. On-call teaching.
On-call teaching. Okay, I'm intrigued.
He compares parents to doctors, always ready for their kids' needs.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Always on call.
Right. And just like a doctor pays attention to symptoms,
Parents need to be tuned in to their kids' questions.
worries, observations, everything.
Pick up on those cues.
Yeah. Durrant even tells a story about his mom, her best gospel conversations.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Happened during ordinary stuff, folding laundry, driving to the dentist.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess those everyday moments can be surprisingly meaningful.
They can. Have you found that to be true?
Oh, absolutely. It's often when you're just relaxed.
Not in a formal setting.
Exactly, that kids really open up.
Share what's on their minds.
So being present in those moments, even if we're tired, makes a difference.
It really does.
Those impromptu chats can have a lasting impact.
Totally agree. But we also need to make space for more structured learning.
You're talking about family scripture study.
Exactly. And Durrant emphasizes consistency, creativity, like with family home evening.
So make it fun.
Yeah. He talks about how his family read the Book of Mormon in Spanish one year.
Wow, that's impressive.
And, it might have even influenced his kids' mission calls later.
Interesting. It's amazing how those things can connect.
Isn't it? And it reminds me of another story Durrant shared about Brian K. Ashton.
Fill me in.
He read the entire Book of Mormon with his father in high school.
Wow, that's dedication.
And now he continues that tradition with his own son.
That's beautiful, passing it down.
A legacy of learning spanning generations.
It really is. But it also makes you wonder, how can families make scripture study? Yeah, especially in today's world.
So many distractions.
It's a challenge, for sure.
But there are so many ways to get creative.
Like what?
You could act out scenes, draw pictures, keep a family scripture journal.
Oh, I like that. To share thoughts and insights.
Or even use technology to make it more interactive.
There are so many possibilities.
Durrant's point is, it shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be something families look forward to.
Exactly. But maybe his most powerful point is about example teaching.
What does he say about that?
He tells the story about a young man praising his father, the bishop,
What do you say?
that he was an even better man at home.
Wow, that speaks volumes.
It really does. It reminds us Our kids are always watching.
Learning from us even when we don't realize it.
It's not just about the big moments, but the everyday choices we make.
Like Elder D. Todd Christofferson said,
You remember the quote?
something about being examples in word, in conversation, in charity.
In spirit, in faith, in purity.
At the
It's a high bar, but it shows how much our actions influence our kids.
Absolutely. It's not about being perfect, but being genuine.
Living our values.
Indeed.
And, even when we're trying our best,
We're human?
our weaknesses show through sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Durrant even shares a funny story about himself being reluctant
About what?
to do proxy baptisms while on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
He actually murmured about it at first.
But his wife persuaded him,
Julie, she gently encouraged him.
and it turned into a beautiful teaching moment for their kids.
It did. It just shows, even in our imperfections.
There are still opportunities to teach and grow as a family,
And it highlights how important it is for parents to work together.
support each other.
Model a healthy approach to learning and faith.
Couldn't agree more.
What I find so inspiring about Durrant's message is that it's not just about knowledge.
It's about creating a home where love, faith, and learning all thrive.
You said it perfectly, and I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Okay, sounds good.
We've covered a lot, but there's so much more to explore when it comes to teaching in the home.
Definitely looking forward to diving back in.
Me too.
As we're talking about all this, I think it's important to remember
What's that?
that we're not alone in this whole teaching in the home thing.
You're right. We have help.
Durrant really emphasizes that.
He does. He reminds us that we can rely on divine guidance
On heaven's help.
as we try to be the best parents and teachers we can be.
He even ends his address with a plea for that help,
He does.
which I think is really comforting for a lot of parents.
Why do you say that?
Well, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like you don't have all the answers.
Exactly. And Durrant's saying it's okay to not have all the answers.
We don't have to be perfect.
We just do our best, be open to learning, rely on that higher power.
That's such a good point. And it's not just about the spiritual side either.
What do you mean?
Durrant talks about the bigger picture, how teaching in the home impacts society.
You're right. He quotes Elder L. Tom Perry.
Oh, I love Elder Perry's talks.
This one's powerful. He said, the health of any society,
Go on, this is good.
the happiness of its people, their prosperity, and their peace,
Okay, I'm listening.
all find common roots in the teaching of children in the home.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
It really is. It's like what we do in our families.
It doesn't just stay there.
It ripples out. It affects everyone.
It shapes future generations, the people who will build our communities.
Our world.
It's not just about our kids.
It's about contributing to a greater good.
And it all starts with nurturing that love of learning in our homes,
That natural curiosity that kids have.
which sometimes means letting go of structured lessons.
Embracing those spontaneous moments.
Remember when your kids were younger?
I do.
Any moments stand out to you, ones that were really impactful,
So many to choose from.
even if they weren't planned.
Well, I remember one time my daughter, maybe 5 years old,
What happened?
we were at the beach building sandcastles.
Sounds idyllic.
It was. And she started asking about the tides.
Oh, that's a good question.
Why the water came in and out.
Kids notice everything.
They do. And that sparked this whole conversation about the moon, gravity.
Got into a science lesson.
Right there on the beach. It was awesome.
It's just like Durrant's mom with those gospel conversations while folding laundry.
Or driving to the dentist. We talked about that.
Yeah, those everyday moments can turn into amazing learning opportunities.
If we're open to them.
That's the key, being those on-call teachers.
But let's be real for a second.
What do you mean?
Being an on-call teacher sounds great.
But life is busy.
So busy, we're juggling work, kids, everything.
How do we find time for those spontaneous moments?
Especially when we're tired.
Such a good question. I think it's about remembering.
Remembering what?
We don't have to be perfect.
Ah, that again. It's so true, though.
It is. Just make small, consistent efforts.
Not grand gestures.
Sometimes it's just putting down the phone,
Turning off the TV.
truly engaging with our kids, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos.
And forget to slow down,
Savor the little moments.
because those little moments add up over time.
Durrant talks about that.
How so?
Those small acts of service, like the proxy baptisms.
The ones he grumbled about at first?
they can have a huge impact on how our kids see the gospel.
Their willingness to live it,
It's about being intentional even when we're not perfect.
modeling the values we want them to have,
And sometimes that means admitting when we mess up,
showing them that we're learning too,
creating that safe space for learning.
where it's okay to ask questions, to explore, to disagree.
I love that. And that's what makes Durrant's message so powerful.
What do you mean?
It's not about following rigid rules
It's about creating a home filled with love, faith, and learning.
and weaving those things into everyday life.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And it's a legacy worth striving for.
Absolutely.
Wow, we've really been diving deep with Devin Durrant's address.
Haven't we? So much to think about.
It really gets you thinking about how we're teaching in our own homes.
Definitely. From family home evening to those little everyday moments.
He covered it all.
And what really struck me was how real he was, you know?
What do you mean?
He didn't shy away from his own struggles as a parent.
Yeah, he was so honest about his imperfections.
It made him so relatable. Like, he's not this perfect parent.
He's just trying his best, like the rest of us.
Exactly. And that makes his message so much more powerful.
Because it's attainable, you know?
It is. He's not preaching from some ivory tower,
He's down in the trenches with us
figuring it out as he goes.
and reminding us that we don't have to do it alone.
That's so important. We have each other, our communities.
And that divine help he talked about.
That's what gives us hope.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't have to be perfect.
I just have to keep trying
Rely on that help that's available.
and trust the journey.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive,
What stands out to you the most?
it's that teaching in the home isn't just about filling our kids' heads with knowledge.
It's so much more than that.
It's about nurturing their hearts.
Helping them become good people.
And it all goes back to what Elder Perry said,
About the roots of a healthy society.
starting in the home.
It really does come full circle.
So to our listeners, we hope this has given you some things to ponder.
Maybe some new ideas to try out in your own families.
And remember, it's a journey.
There will be bumps along the way.
But keep striving, keep learning.
And find joy in creating a home where love, faith, and learning all flourish.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a great conversation.
We'll see you next time.